Take two. uh, Chapter 5, Afrotopia. Reader discretion advised. The current public discourse to emphasize consensual engagement amongst people, including children, requires my acknowledgement of a gendered masculine male privilege that handicaps my ability to fully explore the ontology of women, children, and queer folks. The presence of Katya, a gendered daughter and teenager in my life, provides an impetus to venture into an unknown private conscious space. At the intersection of black women, the borderlands, and a black, masculine, male-dominated society, there are no current literary systems to ask permission to peek behind the veil of black womanhood. Because of my perspective as a trained patriarch, all the narrow understandings in this chapter confirm the critiques of a masculine, male-dominated society. Instead of ignoring or engaging in reductionism, the injurious nature of exclusionary as well as binary historical frameworks require a brief synopsis of where my shortcomings begin. As a child of a poor black woman living in South Central Los Angeles, I caught a glimpse of how dehumanizing a patriarchal society could be for a young, unwed black woman. Varitha, my mother, dropped out of Locke High School after birthing me at the age of 15. She wasn't a woman. She was a girl. Varitha was part of a black migration out of Mississippi, whose father settled on the West Coast after his military service, unaware of the dark alliance that exacerbated traumas in our deindustrialized working class community, 48th and Western. Varitha was poisoned by the patriarchy, and I was sent to live with my grandparents in Compton, California. The poison patriarchy inspired artists who created poems about my mother's cohort of black women and set it to music. Disrespect turned to disregard as Varitha's body transitioned from a young female body to a middle-aged, much deteriorated female body. She was a proud black woman whose ontology was most vivid to me as a child on Sundays. In the back of a triplex next to the alley off 47th, my mom would cook and clean our 900 square foot pad, singing the music of the Dells. Cue the drum roll. Give your baby a standing ovation, end quote. In the assailable patriarchy of my grandparents' house, my grandmother's power lorded over the private sphere, and my grandfather dutifully performed in the public sphere. When Mary Elizabeth Gilmore Nelson, my grandmother, felt her power was insufficient, she would say, "Wait till Daddy gets home." Within our vulnerable patriarchal family, my grandmother's matriarchal power included the ability to add capacity to her enforcement. Moreover, Mary E. Nelson was a matriarch within our church community, which further added to her sphere of influence in our urbanized black cowboy society. After bearing 8 children and raising them and me, In her 50s, she started college. In her 60s, she established a business called Grandma's House, a daycare. In her 70s, her business grew into a school called Trinity Unlimited Outreach Childcare Center that her daughters and granddaughters now manage. My grandfather, Glenn Orris, owned and operated a family business near the beach with his sons for 50 years. Now he helped finance my grandmother's dream. This two-part chapter was conceived with my observations engaging a black cowboy society expecting to be a patriarch. Through the narrow windows of my mother and my grandmother's life, I saw a mirror image in the public record of Maddie Moore Wilson and Ella Magruder Boyer. Blackdom entered a period of revival after 1909 because of the omnipresent black matriarchal power. Blackdomite women were black women in a Victorianish society. Homesteading was central to Blackdom, and women were keenly aware and exploited the opportunity to become public-facing colonizers. Although female in an anemic patriarchal society, women helped double Blackdom's land holdings by 1919. Lastly, this chapter assumes my need to do more work to better tell the story of black women in Blackdom. As a male, masculine man, coming of age in Compton during the 1990s, I am not the best prepared scholar to write a history of black women in the borderlands. From behind my border wall of my poisoned patriarchal understanding, I peer into a neighboring moth-eaten matriarchal space to illuminate what was apparent. Dehumanization of black women during my training as a patriarch was infused with black ontology in my songs of youth. Be forewarned, I mimicked a pattern of dehumanization as I floated down the 91 freeway with my dad in his Cadillac for the year. At audio decibels far higher than what was safe for a child, violins began to play, dramatic drum roll. This is a man's world. But it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a little girl. R. Kelly, though? Anyway, when I was old enough to drive, I attempted to manifest the ontology ontological space of my father with the new music of the day. My granddad bought me a powder blue 1975 VW Bug, fuel injected. I kept the rims clean with tinted windows and racing tires in the back. One might have seen me floating down Crenshaw at audio decibels far higher than what was safe for a teenager. Cue the strip drum track. A bitch is a bitch. End quote. I warned you.